Next. That's me. It's like Where's Waldo? This is from the Guinness World Record I set. Most balloons ever made in 24 hours. 6,176 blown up all by mouth. And made in animals. And there, if you see closely, is Jesus. This is a 30-minute version of Jesus that was part of it. Some of you guys heard the story about that tonight. You can tell if you hadn't heard about it, it's cool, I think, what God did to make sure that could happen. Next. Okay, like I said, I love superheroes. And so here's a few of the ones I've done. Nightcrawler, Joker, Superman, Batman, Thor, Green Lantern, Flash, and Supergirl. Now, I'm the official comic book artist for the world's only comic book museum. So, and it started very little. So, can you go to that next picture to show how young I was? Oh. That's me. At one point, I was cute and adorable. I know it happens. So, I've always loved Superman, and I've always loved peanuts. They're also a couple of my passions. Next. And this is for my team that likes North Carolina. This is Sparty, MSU. They're good. Okay. Next. Shush. And this is Leonardo da Vinci's Last Supper. This took 40 hours to make. This is all balloons. Only thing not is the PVC pipe frame holding it all up. And the last picture, Jesus. Let's keep that one up. So, okay, guys. I want to show you those so you can understand a little bit of my back and what I do, because it's really hard for people to say, oh, you do balloon animals. Great. He makes dogs. I make a little bit more as dogs, as you can see. It's my passion. When I was real young, God started leading me down a path that's led to this. But guys, when I was younger, a lot younger, about 4.5, 5 years old, I was the one that everyone made fun of. I got beat up physically and verbally. Found out years later that some of the girls in my school would actually go home crying to their parents about how I was being treated. And this was in a Christian school. And, there's a famous quote out there, guys. A really famous quote. It goes along, if you tell people a lie loud enough and long enough, eventually they will believe it. Let me say that again. If you tell people a lie long enough and loud enough, eventually they will believe it. Who do you guys think might have said something like that? No, not Jesus. Who do you guys think? You're actually correct.
Yes.
It is Hitler. Adolf Hitler said it. Very good. Oh, did you hear that before? That quote? Yeah.
Huh.
It is. I find there's a lot of truth in that quote. See, here's the thing, guys. I got made fun of so much growing up. Even by the age of 5, I was a kid that I did a lot of thinking, and I've always been kind of a loner, just trying to figure things out on my own. And even at 5 years old, I had already figured out how to kill myself. At 5 years old. It's sad, but it's true. And I so believed the lie that I was worthless without... I had come to a realization at the ripe old age of 5 that God was perfect, but I was His only mistake. That somehow He messed up on me. And I believe that so strongly. It's so easy to believe a lie like that. Well, my Sunday school teacher, she one time said a statement, and it changed my world, really. And she looked me in the eye and says, God has a purpose for everything. He does not make junk. And she then gave an altar call and all that, and me being the person I was, I didn't make a choice then. I had to do my own research. I'm still that way. I got to do my own research. So I went home, and I had one of those picture Bibles. Probably some of you adults remember them. They were real popular in the 70s and 80s. Pretty much some guy did a whole book as a comic book. It's one reason why I love comic books. They speak to me. I understand them. Well, I was very into the Bible. I mean, I couldn't watch anything if it wasn't a Christian cartoon or Amy Grant, pretty much. I mean, that was my life as a 5-year-old. So I knew the Bible pretty good for a 5-year-old. And so I took my Bible at night and I read it. And I looked through all the stories, starting in Genesis, going all the way through the life of Christ. And a couple pictures in particular I still remember to this day. One of them was Jesus looking with the children. And his look of, come on, let them come to me. The other one that really just rocked my mindset was him on the cross. And he was there, but you could still see the sense of love in his eyes. And it really just talked to me. And so that night when I was supposed to be asleep, I was supposed to be asleep, I was reading this Bible, I asked Christ in my heart. 5 years old, on my own, in my bedroom. Next day I told my parents, and they made sure I knew what I had done. And it's been interesting. You know, I knew God loved me, but I still don't know why I was here. I mean, I still thought, I still believe in the lies that I was here at school, by adults, by kids. I mean, I'm not the smartest tool in the shed, okay? You know, I'm a couple fries short of a Happy Meal. I understand that. I accept that. But God started me on a path that ignited my passions, what these guys are talking about. You know, some of you guys have asked how I got into balloons. The long and short of it, it was because of a girl. I had a crush on a girl from kindergarten to 3rd grade. But God used this girl. She's now an opera singer in New York. So, you know, she's an opera singer, I'm a balloon artist, go figure. But God used this girl, and her church had a clown school. And I learned in that clown school about how to become a clown and all this other stuff. And God ignited 2 passions. One was the whole entertainment stuff, the clowning, the balloons. But the other one was working with kids. At 9 years old, I started a clown ministry in my church. See, God was igniting a passion. He was just getting the embers going at this point. Just sparking them. And so, I was getting into clowning. God opened up doors like I wouldn't believe. I mean, okay, 1993. How many of you adults remember what was going on in Russia in 92 and 93? The wall was coming down. Americans were out for the first time over there. My family was one of the first American families to go over to Siberia. In 1993, we joined a missionary friend who just started going there. They wanted to do a family trip. So here I am at 12, turned 13 on that trip. I got to go to Russia as a clown. And God started showing that He could use me, that He had a purpose for me. I got to reach kids and reach adults just because of who I was that, you know, no one else was able to reach. And God was igniting something in me. Well then, you know, all this happened with the clowning, and at the time, it just wasn't me anymore. So God fired that flame up even hotter and showed me exactly where that passion was and how I could use it for kids. I went to a magic camp for teenage boys, learning how to be leaders in the community using the visual arts. I mean, I can get out of 100 feet of rope in under 3 seconds. I can do chalk art, puppetry, ventriloquism, mime, conking, all that stuff. But the last day, see, I learned all this stuff and I could do it, but it wasn't me. It wasn't my passion. It wasn't just something that excited me. The last day was balloons. Now I sat down in the room for the beginners, where I thought I still was, and this guy, his name was Uncle Norm. Now this is one of the first pieces of scaffolding that God really put in my life to really shape this passion. This guy, you got to understand, was about 70 years old then. And to a 15-year-old, that's old. So he took me by the back of the neck, pushed me into the advanced room and said, have fun. 1 year later, I taught the advanced class. See, God told him something, and he did it. I talked to him years later about this, and he remembers having a feeling in his heart that he was supposed to push me into that room. And so I went to that room. 2 weeks later, I was in Mexico on a mission trip, and I was creating my own balloon stuff. And just kept going, and then I got more mentors, and more scaffolding was forming around me to build up that foundation. And just a whole bunch of things started falling into place, and it was just, I look back and it was so God, how He worked everything out. And I got to learn from some amazing people that I was extremely blessed to learn from. But God used that passion with my other passion of children's ministry and youth. And here's what I'm trying to say, guys. If we truly believe that God knitted us together in our mother's womb, that He knew us before we were born, then doesn't it make sense that He put a purpose in our lives? A plan, a passion, something for us to use for Him? These guys made a choice. They made a choice to use their, it was a conscious choice. It wasn't just something like, oh yeah, didn't we already decide that? No. They met together and decided Christ is going to be our foundation. Christ is going to be the middle of what we do. Not at the edges, not kind of just this, oh yeah, we're a Christian man. No, Christ is the center. Guys, here's the thing. Some of you might know what your passions are. Some of you might not. One of my closest friends, who's a balloonist, who's my mentor, I actually stood with him at his wedding in the place of his son. And this guy was amazing to me. But he didn't find out that he liked balloons and that was his passion, and teaching people was his passion until he was 45 years old. I'm considerably blessed. I learned at 9 years old what I like, and God showed me at 6 years old that I was supposed to be in full-time ministry. Guys, if I encourage you. If you know what your passions are, figure out how to use them for God. In small ways and big ways, use them. If you don't know, pray that God gives you the opportunity to find it. Because when you find your passion, and I've been able to talk to so many people that I would not be able to talk to normally. Comic book convention guys, top artists in their field. I've been able to talk to all different types of children entertainers, and just the people who are on the fringes of society through balloons. And God's given us these passions, but it's our choice, and if we make Him the center of our scaffolding, or if we leave Him on the outside. Guys, here's my prayer for you guys. If you know what your heart is, God, it ignites your heart. And if you don't know how, let me give you this challenge. Do you know how to figure out if something's passionate for you? If you do, great. If not, I encourage you to talk to me, talk to some of the adults. Because when you find that something that God's placed in your life that is what makes you different and special for His purpose. That Sunday school teacher was right. God has a plan for everyone. And do we choose to use that purpose for His glory? Or do we use it to make ourselves famous and rich? Guys, I'll be honest. I've been told I'm one of the top 20 balloonists of the world. But I'm also the only one who doesn't do it full-time professionally. God hasn't given me the green light to. Right now it's His. And what He wants me to do with it, I'll do it. Every now and then I get a great job and it pays for the ministry expenses. But it's all because of Him. You have a choice, guys. It is an active decision you must make to use your passions when God shows them to you. For Him, for yourself. And guys, I'd love to talk to you more about it. If you want to hear more about my passions, or if you want me to tell you about, you want to tell me about yours, I'd love to hear about it. Passions are what I can't even imagine if God didn't show me what I'm passionate about at such a young age, where I would be today. Because it has been my foundation in Him, is knowing that He has a purpose and plan for me, and He's using me. I'm not on the sidelines cheering someone else on. I'm in the game. And that's my prayer for you guys today, is that you realize you're not supposed to be on the bench watching. Get in the game, use what God's made in you, and get out there. This week is great, but it's not supposed to be a one-week thing. This is a jumping point for the rest of your life. Use it. Let God speak to you this week. If it's speaking to the people who are living under the bridges, keep track of that. If it's folding t-shirts and helping at a thrift store, track that. If it's helping a ministry get the stuff done so they can keep ministering, it is behind the scenes stuff, use that. Find that passion, guys. You can ask the adults. It makes life a lot more interesting when you're using that for God than just for yourself. Let me pray with you guys real quick, and we're going to be leading worship here. Lord, I pray that if they know what they're passionate about, Lord, that they make a choice for you today, or not for you, but they make that choice. And they're willing to stick with that choice, Lord. But Lord, they have not found what gives them the spark, the ember, like these guys have made it their core. Lord, I pray that you show them or lead them in the next 6 months or year where that passion is. In some way, you put the right person in their life to encourage